Check out the huge week of earnings coming up. Big names in tech, healthcare, industrials, all reporting as we gear up for the busiest week of the season. So what is the one name that you're most closely watching going into next week, Grasso? You got a lot on your plate here.
Yeah, I wish I could only watch one name. So obviously I'm long Apple, so I'm super concerned with that to see if the hype can when the rubber meets the road, to see what they actually perform with. But I'm looking for services to continue to outperform. I'm looking for that $46 billion to be growing. And I think the Apple TV Plus, the streaming arm of that, is definitely has a bunch of tailwinds, and they've already surpassed Hulu and Disney. So they're ranked basically third in streaming. That to me is huge, coming out of nowhere. So I'm interested in those numbers.
All right, Guy, what are you looking at?
Amazon on Thursday, I think, is fascinating. Yeah, that huge move to the upside. It topped out a little above 2,000. Flush in October down to 1,700 or so. We've gotten half of it back. We're not there yet. I think Amazon on Thursday is a really important quarter for the stock. And AWS growth, if it continues to decline, you might see the stock retest that $1,700 level.
Yeah, I think if you think about AWS and you think about what we've heard from cloud from some of the big boys and girls out there, the competitive landscape is changing. Having said all that, look, Amazon, which was lagging, and a FANG component, which definitely was holding back, I think is something that you know, the expectations going into this number, I think, are actually very well slated. I think if you look at other numbers next week, energy sector, you've got some big integrated oils that are reporting late in the week. That entire sector has been under onslaught as we've seen some global pullback. And finally, Tesla, not surprisingly, something that I'm watching, something where I really do think the earnings should be telling us what that balance sheet looks like. We're going to get insight into whether they're going to get to those 360 to 400,000 in deliveries. So that's clearly market has to be looking at that one.
Tesla has been so parabolic. I mean, just a crazy, crazy chart. You think it still has way more room to run, depending on what we hear? Or you think we were capped out, expectations are...
Well, you're talking to someone, Courtney, that thought it had way too much room to run. It run too far $200 ago. So, no, I think it does come down to free cash flow, profitability of the company. There's been an incredible array of news headlines that I don't think have had a lot of detail. Let's get some detail on the balance sheet.
I think, ones that have really run into earnings, Tesla couldn't be a better example than Tesla, Apple as well. Those are going to have a harder time, even with great numbers, because they're already so baked in, whereas Amazon, I think, hasn't had anywhere near the run. To me, Facebook is the most important one that I'm watching. Google doesn't report till the following week. But for Facebook, I think much of that negative sentiment is gone, right? Going back to Cambridge Analytica. I think it's good for the stock. I mean, to me, the valuation is not at all crazy, and they have a giant cash hoard, which will only grow. We'll see how much when they report. But that, to me, is my favorite name. I think there's probably the most upside there.
What about a name like Starbucks, when we're thinking about the consumer and we're thinking about China? That could be potentially a good indicator.
Well, it's gotten hit on China, right? So given that I think that any China discount, I think, will end up going away, I think Starbucks is probably interesting.
How about a name like McDonald's with Steve Easterbrook leaving? The stock is up. It was under pressure immediately on his departure. Now it's up 14% since his departure. So it seems as though, and then you had that negative headline today that they were closing some stores. So all in all, I still think you're okay buying McDonald's, where everyone thought it had a bloated, expanded multiple, and you couldn't be a buyer here. But the laggard is Caterpillar for me. Let's see where that one is. It's down 5% and quickly year to date. Let's see where that one goes.